porous the defense was all of last season. They take on a USC team. They completely shut them down when it mattered. The 2 touchdowns didn't really matter. Even Georgia's scoring 35 to 40 to 45 points against most teams in the SEC. They could only score 20 against Notre Dame. What is different about this Irish defense in 2017 versus last fall?
Well, I think it is 3 things. The first thing being the new strength and conditioning staff has really changed this group up front. We have a lot of guys along the defensive line going from 4 reps of 225 up to 22, 23 reps in the bench press. So, they are definitely, there's a lot more strength up there to hold the point of attack where I think they were getting driven back last year. The second thing is, Mike Elko is only going to do and call the things that the defense can handle. Last year, Brian Van Gorder, he would have a whole laundry list of things that he would want to call, and he'd call every single one of them. And guys didn't know where exactly to be on the field. And so now you're seeing less and less of guys, running wide open. They're hitting their run fits. And, it sounds so elementary until you have a defensive coordinator who doesn't focus on these things, and then they become massive problems because it's easy yards for any offense. And then the third thing is that they are tackling extremely well. That was something that particularly the defensive backs really struggled with last year. You would see lots of hitches and curl routes that would be caught at 5 to 10 yards that would end up being big plays for the opposition just because they couldn't come up and make the tackle. And they have really started to do that, and that's made all of the difference.
Yeah, it's a wonder. We're sitting here in 2017, and we talk about spread formations and 5 wide and all these other things, and we've got all sorts of metrics, but it's still a game of blocking and tackling, and if you don't do those things, you're not going to compete at the level that Notre Dame expects to compete. NC State, not a traditional brand, but 6-1, really good football team, efficient on offense. I do think that there's one point that you brought up before we started to record that maybe falls into Notre Dame's lap if the trend continues in terms of red zone efficiency, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. The Wolfpack are actually ranked 107th in red zone efficiency. And that is somewhere Notre Dame currently ranks 18th. And they've been extremely efficient once they get to the red zone of either figuring out a way to strip the ball or get an interception or hold them to field goals. And I think that could be the difference, because if NC State is kicking field goals and Notre Dame is able to hold them to that, I think on the flip side, Notre Dame's red zone efficiency with their offense is one of the best in the nation, and they can obviously get 7 when North Carolina State is getting 3. Again, sounds something really elementary. Obviously, you're scoring more points, you're going to win the game, right? So I think that could be really the advantage that Notre Dame has in this game.
At last glance, Notre Dame a 7.5-point pick at home against NC State, both teams at 6-1. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for the best in college football coverage, the long-form conversations, the audio only on Stitcher, Podbean, and iTunes with contributors like Andrew Hall from Slap the Sign and others. So catch the audio right there. Andrew, we appreciate the breakdown on Notre Dame, NC State. And again, everyone, please join him right there for his prediction. And does the entire staff jump in on the picks?
Typically, it's just me. We
just
have
you.
Just a
it's all on you.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a light crew that we have going here. So, but ultimately, I think this is probably going to be the second most difficult game for Notre Dame this year. I haven't made an official prediction yet, but more than likely, I think Notre Dame comes out with a less than touchdown victory is what I'm kind of thinking at this point.
All right, Andrew Hall, Slap the Sign. Got to join him there for Notre Dame football coverage. We've got to cover Notre Dame definitely here at Mark Rogers TV, and been looking for a good Notre Dame contributor for a while, Andrew, so I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.